Hello, everyone. Welcome in today. Today, we're going to kick off our NFL draft grades with the NFC West. Each division is going to have its own video, so we still have 7 more to go after this one. Hopefully, my voice sounds okay. I've been sick dealing with some cold type stuff. So hopefully my voice is back and feeling better. That's why we're late starting these. But let's jump into the San Francisco 49ers. As we look at our grades, I'm going to put it down in the description below. But in the early rounds, it's going to be, A plus all the way down to F. And that's just based on my board and how I feel about them. And then the day 3 prospects, those guys are either going to be considered okay, early, good, or steal. And that's how we're going to rate them. And like I said, once again, it's just all based off of my board. And Michael Williams, he was taken at number 11 overall. And I got to be honest with you, I gave that grade a C minus. I had him at number 32 on my big board. I understand taking a shot on him, but he didn't have the top tier athleticism. To me, he's got a high floor as a run defender, but I feel like 11's high. He's young, and that's kind of what you're betting on. And I understand why they made the bet, but I'm just going to have to be lower on it because I'm worried about Michael Williams being able to reach the upside that they think he has. I think he's a little bit more of a low floor player than a high ceiling player, in my opinion. We'll see, though. Hopefully he proves me wrong. Anybody that I'm not high on, I hope they prove me wrong. Next up at round 2, pick 11, or number 43 overall, was Alfred Collins, the defensive tackle out of Texas. Got to be honest with you, I really like this pick. 6'6", 332 pounds. It's getting a B. They took him right in the right range. I had no issues with that. He's an awesome big man, and he's going to help them shore up the middle of that defense against the run. And I think he has more pass rush upside in his game. So I really did like that pick. Next up is going to be Nick Martin, and I got to be honest with you, this one was a reach for me. They took him at round 3, pick 11, which was 75th overall. I had him down at 137 on my big board. It was just early. I gave this one a D minus. I got to be honest with you, I think there was better linebackers on the board still. Don't really love this one. He's a little undersized. I know he runs well, but I don't know. This just really isn't my favorite pick of theirs. And then I really liked their last one on day 2 of the draft. Round 3, pick 36, number 100 overall, was Upton Stout, the cornerback out of Western Kentucky. I had him at 89 on my final big board. So this one gets a B plus grade. I think they got good value here, and I think he's going to be a feisty slot player for him. I really liked Stout. Moving on to their day 3 draft picks. Their first one, I have no issue with CJ West going where he went. Some people might think it's a steal. To me, that's right around where I had him valued, so no problems with that at all. Next up, round 4, pick 36 at 138 overall. They took Jordan Watkins, and that feels super early to me, if I'm being honest with you. I just, he was very unimpressive on tape, and I had him more as a late day 3 type of guy. So to me, it was just a really, really early pick. I hope he proves me wrong, but that one's going to get hit with the early. Next up, we have Jordan James, round 5, perfect value for him, right where I had him. I think he's going to be a good back for them. He'll be able to contribute, and Kyle Shanahan's just absolutely going to love him. Next up, we have a 5th round pick. At number 24 overall, we had Marquise Siegel, the safety out of Kansas State. No issue with that pick at all. I think it's a good value. Didn't really watch a ton of his tape. He isn't a player I got a final eval up on. I did watch him, but like I said, don't have a final grade on him, and I consider a final grade when I've watched basically 3 full tapes on them, unless it's a player that after like 2.5, I'm like, I know who this is, and I can write a report and feel comfortable, which for him, I didn't, so I don't have a final grade on him, but from what I watched, he's right in this range. I have no issues with that pick at all. And then we had 3 round 7 picks that are all kind of flyers, and I don't really have an issue with any of them. Curtis Rourke, I had a round 7 to UDFA grade on. He went at 227th overall. I think that you're betting on that torn ACL kind of affecting his game last year a little bit, and then hoping that he has some more upside to be a good backup. I don't really see starter traits in him, but I think he has a route to be a good backup in the league, and I think that was definitely worth a flyer. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't watch the last 2 guys on this list, Connor Colby or Junior Bergen, so I'm not going to knock them. I'm just going to say they're good, okay value. So that's going to bring my final grade on the San Francisco 49ers class to a C plus as I look at my notes here. I got to be honest with you, I just was not as high on this class as I wanted to be. I think they had a lot of reaches here, and they're kind of betting on themselves, which I honestly don't think's really worked for them lately. I think that's why their team's in the situation they're in. And honestly, I don't love this draft to really help them replenish what they lost and what they needed. Like I said, they had some good picks in Alfred Collins in there, but I don't know. I didn't love this draft for them. I think they kind of trusted their gut, and I don't think that's worked out for them a lot lately, and it didn't match up with my board. Let's go ahead and move on to the Arizona Cardinals here. They're the next team on our list. We're going to kick it off with their first round draft pick, Walter Nolan. They took him at round 1, pick 16. I gave this a B grade, and I did that out of full respect for Walter Nolan. It's right where he was on my big board. He honestly could have been higher, but there was some character questions with him that just kind of came down to, it wasn't effort on the field or anything. I guess it was more like personality based, because honestly, on the field, I loved watching Walter Nolan play, and I think the Cardinals got a good value as far as that went. But when you factor in the questions there, I couldn't go B plus like I wanted to, just because I really liked the player. I decided to settle on a B. Next up, their second round draft pick was Will Johnson. I mean, fantastic value at 47th overall. I'm gonna straight up, I gave this an A. I know there's injury concerns, and if it wasn't for that, this would be an A plus. I really liked Will Johnson. I think him falling to the second round, I mean, I guess that knee has to be really bad, because they're talking about, I guess, maybe something like degenerative in there. And the last guy they talked about with that, I think, was Miles Jack, and he ended up lasting 7 years in the league. And if you get 7 years out of a second round draft pick, that's fantastic value. And especially a player like Will Johnson, who I really do believe has a high ceiling to be a very good player in this league. You know, I would have had him as a first round graded prospect. He ended up being just outside of the first round as far as final grade goes. He was number 16 on my big board, but that was based on all the injuries he's been dealing with and not running the 40. I had to drop his grade a little bit, but he would have been one of the top 10 players in this class for me if it wasn't for all the questions surrounding him. And he still finished at number 16. So I think this is tremendous value at 47. Like I said, that's going to be an A. In round 3, they went ahead and got Jordan Birch at pick 78. I had him valued in round 3. I think this is a great pickup for an edge player. I think he's going to really pair well with their first round draft pick last year. Robinson, right? Robinson? Yeah, I think that was his name. Either way, I think he's going to pair really well with him. And I think this defensive line's quite impressive. And if Birch can hit his upside, which I don't think he ever really did in college, kind of the question with him, you're going to get a really good player if he reaches his ceiling. It's quite unknown if he'll ever get there, because he just never looked like he quite reached there. Now, as far as the rest of their draft went, around 4, pick 13, number 115 overall, they got Cody Simon. Maybe a little early for me, but I didn't knock it. I'd say that's an okay value pick. I understand linebackers were going off the board, so they kind of reached a little bit down the board to get him, but it was close enough where I just said that was okay value. Round 5, pick 174, they got Denzel Burke, the corner out of Ohio State. A couple of years ago, he was a very highly rated prospect. Things just never really worked out for him, so you're hoping that maybe somehow he can reach his ceiling here for you. And then and round 6, at 211th overall, you got Hayden Connor, an interior offensive lineman out of Texas. No issues with this pick. And then Keaton Crawford, a good special teams player in the 7th round, a safety out of Nevada at 225 overall. No issues with that pick either. I think overall this was a good draft for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to give this one a B+. I think as a Cardinals fan, you should be really happy with how the value worked out here. I almost went A, but they didn't really get any day 3 steals. I thought they just did okay. So we're going to go B+ and give him credit for getting Will Johnson and sticking him, getting Walter Nolan as well. So overall, really like this class. Gonna give them a ton of credit. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. The Seattle Seahawks did a really good job in this draft. At round 1, pick 18, they took Gray Zabel. Good value there. I really can't complain at all. I'm gonna give him a little boost, even though it was right in the range I expected him to go. Just for them finally actually following through and doing it and getting an offensive lineman, they're gonna get a B+ here for that one. And then they traded up in round 2 to get Nick Eamon-Wari at pick 35, the 3rd round pick of the 2nd round. I'm gonna give that a B+ as well. He was right in that range. I love it. Even with the trade up, tremendous pickup for this team. I think it's really going to fit with Mike McDonald, the head coach. I love the pickup for him. And then later in the 2nd round, they go ahead and they get Elijah Arroyo. I like that pick. It was a little bit earlier than I had him. They took him at 50. I had him at like 70-ish on my final big board, but that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with him taking that value. Tight ends started to go, so they had to get their guy. I gave that a solid B grade. Then in the 3rd round, they took Jalen Milroe at pick 28. You know, it was 92 overall. I had him at 78, so I'm going to give him a B+ for that pickup. Great idea to get somebody in there who can develop, sit behind Sam Darnold, and just see what you have in him. Like, it may not work out for him at quarterback, but he's such a tremendous athlete, it's worth taking a chance on him. And just putting him behind Milroe and letting him develop. McDonald, coming from the Ravens, can see how to use a guy like that and can see the vision, having seen firsthand what Lamar Jackson could do. So I love the pickup. I think it's a great idea. Just develop him, see what happens. Maybe someday he'll be your starter. Maybe you can trade him away for value later. And then they took Riley Mills in round 5 at 142 overall. No issues with that. I had him at 158 on my final big board. Perfectly fine value with that. That's okay. That's how I'm going to grade that one. No problem there. Next up at round 5, pick 30 was Torrey Horton. Now that was a steal. I had him in my top 100. He ended up at number 81. He won't be in my top 100 prospects video because I didn't have tape from this past season until the day before the draft. And once I got that, I was able to watch him. I did rely quite a bit on the 2023 tape because I did only get one tape of his for the 2024 season. So I will admit there's some room for error there, but I didn't see much change from 2023 to 2024. I like him. I had him at 81. They got him at 166. Tremendous value there. And then it was Robbie Oots, who I thought was an early pick. I'm not going to lie to you. Blocking tight end at 175. Jackson Hawes went 2 picks before it, and these were probably the 2 best blocking tight ends in the draft. So I guess they felt like they had to get Oots. For me, he was more of like round 6, round 7 guy. I thought there was a difference between his value and Jackson Hawes's value, but you know, it kind of is what it is. And they took Bryce Cabledew. No problem with that pick at all. I didn't watch Mason Richmond. I wish I would have, but I'm really not going to complain about a 7th round flyer on an offensive lineman. And then Ricky White, okay value. I dropped him after his testing. He ran better at his pro day than what he ran at the combine, but pro day times are very unpredictable and you just don't really know what they're actually, how accurate they are because, sometimes it's that 39.5 or 39 yard 40 instead of 40. So I didn't love his 40 time. I dropped him. This is perfectly fine value. Take a shot on him, see what you have in a smaller guy here and see if he can develop for you in the 7th round. No issue with that at pick 238. Overall, I really like this class and it's going to end up getting an A for me. Great value by Seattle. I think their GM, John Schneider, just nailed this one. He knocked it out of the park. Fantastic picks. It reminds me of early in their dynasty, or almost dynasty, that they created with the Legion of Boom, where they just went out and they hit a bunch of good players. They got Damian Martinez, who I also forgot to mention here. He was a steal at round 7, pick 223. I did forget to mention him. He was a steal as well. I absolutely loved Martinez. I had him at number 75. No idea how he was available in the 7th round. So that was another tremendous steal for them. I just think they found value in this draft and they got a lot of good players. They're an A. Like they really impressed me and they're a candidate for the best class, in my opinion. Our final team we're going to talk about is a team that traded down in the 1st round and they acquired a future 1st round pick. I'm not going to include that in their final grade. It would up their grade if I did, but the fact is, there's no effect on this draft and the value of the players they got. So for me, we're going to kick it off with the Rams with Terrence Ferguson. They took him at round 2, pick 14, number 46 overall. He was in the 80s for me on my big board. I'm going to give this a C-. I love the athlete. I do think he had some drop issues. Some of that was Dylan Gabriel not being as accurate as you would like and balls being behind him, but still, I'm going to knock him for that a little bit. Then in round 3, at pick 26 or 90 overall, they took Josiah Stewart, who I had at 51. I thought they made up for that, and that's going to be an A- for me. Absolutely love that pick of Josiah Stewart. I think he brings a ton of value to this team, and he'll be a really good edge rusher for him. I know he's a little undersized, and he did not test good at Will Johnson's combine or pro day workout that he had. I know the testing was bad. I'm trusting the tape over the testing at this moment with him, and to me, that's probably the only reason they got him at pick 90. Then at round 4, pick 15, they took Jarquez Hunter. I had him as a 5th, 6th round guy. They took him at 117 overall. This was a bad value in my opinion. Anybody that, like I said, has a bad grade like this, I hope I'm wrong on Jarquez Hunter. I want these guys to always prove me wrong. I'm rooting for him. And at the end of the day, I'm a fan of the NFL. I'm a fan of football. And I would love to see this guy do great. I just don't see it. 5'9", 204 pounds. He did a lot at Auburn, but he was my 23rd rated running back, and he was not the 23rd running back taken. So I just don't love the value there, if I'm being honest with you. So kind of is what it is. There's nothing I can really say about that other than I just don't love the value there. Then at round 5, pick 10, they took Ty Hamilton, the interior defensive lineman out of Ohio State. No complaints about that. That's an okay value. Right around where I had him. No problems there. But then their next pick I loved, and that was Chris Paul Jr., round 5, 172 overall. I had him as the number 98 player in this class. Absolutely love it. This is a steal in my opinion. He's a developmental player that I think they're going to be able to possibly, or not really a developmental player. I think he'll be able to start day 1 for these guys. I absolutely love Chris Paul. I think he could be a starter day 1, and they would love the value they're getting here. I think the 5th round, tremendous steal. If he had longer arms and he was a little bit taller and a little bit heavier, he goes much higher. I know he has shorter arms, and that's a question a lot of people have. Then in the 7th round, they took Kanata Mumfield, the wide receiver out of Pittsburgh. This is okay value to me. I almost said good, but he has a lot of inconsistencies on tape, and so I understand why he fell. Really like the player, and he has a chance to succeed, but he needs to clean up the inconsistencies in his game. It's really that simple. I think this was an okay, I'm going to say okay get, because like I said, his game's just uneven at this moment, but overall, the Rams had a pretty good draft. I'm going to give it a B for their picks. Now, if we're going to add in the value they got for the James Pierce trade to move down, we're probably going to bump this up to like an A minus, but you're going to see a B on here because it's the value of the players. I'm not including the trade because at the end of the day, we'll see the results from that next year when they actually pick their players. So for now, they're getting a B, and it was a pretty solid draft. So that's our first division down. Next up, I don't know what division we're going to do, but we're going to try to get these rolling at least one a day out over the next 8 days. I am going on vacation and I am sick, so I'm trying to work through it. I already had to take a break halfway through this video to rest my voice before I could finish it, so I'm not sure. I'm going to be out of town from Friday to Monday, so I'm not sure if I'm going to have any videos coming out them days. I might have one, and we might not have another one till the following Wednesday. It just depends. I'm really not 100% sure what's going to happen. Being sick really backed me up. I was hoping to get these rolling and be ahead of schedule, but it is what it is. I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and follow along for your team coming up because we're going to hit all the divisions. You'll see how I feel overall. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. See you later. I'm out.